It was. We're going Sunday. I want to hear. No, Nikki, don't you dare. You know I have terrible memory. I don't know, Nikki, because it's so much better to enjoy it in the movie theater. You really want me to go? I don't mind. If you don't mind, I don't mind. You said fine. Really? I'll dish. I'll say everything that happened. I really want to geek out about it. Okay, okay, I'll log off. You're like, okay, I'll log off. Okay, okay. All right, guys. So I'm gonna give Nikki a few minutes to log out. But thank you so much, Spirit Lily, for joining. I understand. But here we go. Here we go. I'm giving everybody a chance to log off so they won't hear the spoilers because we're gonna go in a couple of minutes. Hopefully, I can remember everything that happened. I don't want to leave anything out. So here we go. In five, four, three, two, one. Later, Spirit Lily. F it. Dish it, man. Love you too, Spirit Lily. Here we go, guys. So let's start from the beginning. We get to see how the Emperor, Emperor Palpatine, how he looks now. And yeah, I'm gonna have to see this movie again because there were some parts I didn't understand and I missed, where I was just like trying to take everything in as the movie was going. So it appears that he survive his fall? It appears that he did, and he was still trying to keep himself alive. And I love that he said that quote from episode 3. The dark side has many abilities some consider to be unnatural. So was he using the abilities that he told about Anakin Skywalker about keeping people from dying? Was he using that on himself? Well, he had all that contraption around him. And I did like the way he looked. He looked like a zombie. He looked ugly and creepy. I was just like, ooh. But I was excited to see him because he's my favorite villain from the Star Wars villains. I was so happy to see him. So yeah, after that, he basically knows the truth about Daisy Riley. I mean Daisy Riley, Ray. So I was just like, ooh, okay, here we go. And he tells everything he knows to Kylo Ren. So Kylo Ren knows too. And I guess he didn't know because I know in the previous films, my reviews, he I thought he knew who Ray's parents was, but he wasn't lying. I thought he was lying to her that he said that oh there were like people who sold you for drunk money or something. But no, I mean that kind of was the truth. But then when Palpatine told him everything, he's like, oh shit, okay, so um, and it was very interesting. I like how it takes place right after what happened in the last film. He's still like the supreme leader, and I like in the titles in the beginning of the movie it said that Ray and everybody got a message from the Emperor himself that he's still alive. So they're out to find him, and then so was Kylo Ray, and so he was on his way to go find him, and blah blah blah. So I don't want to go too much into detail, but yeah, basically that's what happened. Let's talk about Carrie Fisher's scenes when we see Ray training with Princess Leia, which is really cool because that's why I was like, I wonder if Princess Leia is going to be the one to train Ray, and she was. Ray was like training herself to become, the Jedi that she wants to be, and there was Princess Leia training her, I guess. By the way, can we get to this part already? I did like the part where they show a flashback of Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia practicing their lightsaber fights with each other, wearing their helmets. But when they took off their helmets, I loved how they showed Mark Hamill very young, like he used to right after um, Return of the Jedi. And I loved how They had Carrie Fisher look like she was very young again. So I was like, that's super cool. That was an awesome flashback. That was a very nice flashback. That would explain like she did have training with her brother, but she stopped, because I think something about she sensed what was going to happen to her son, so she stopped and let Skywalker, Luke, her brother Luke, train her son instead. So yeah, there were those scenes where Ray was talking to her, and I thought it went very well. I didn't see a flaw. I mean, I don't think I did. I because I understand they said they were gonna try to use as much scenes that they did for The Force Awakens into this one. So I was like, oh, there's probably gonna be some weird little Photoshop moments where I'm just like, oh, you're gonna point it out, but not really. I think they did flawlessly in those edits to make her seem like if she was actually there. It worked perfectly, and may she rest in peace. I think that she would have done a lot more, but I think they did a very good job saving it. Um, Meaning, I think they did a good job what they did with her in the end, her character. When that moment came when Kylo Ren and Rey were fighting each other, um, and Leia, she sensed that what was going to happen. I didn't understand that much what she was going to do, but then when that little alien, what's her name, from The Force Awakens was saying, oh, she knows what she needs to do. And I'm like, oh God, like, what is she going to do? And then when she finally contacts her son, I think she was dying. I think Princess Leia was already dying from the looks of it. Um, so she used the last bit of her life and her last powers to contact her son, Kylo. I mean Ben Skywalker, to distract him from fighting Rey. Because I wasn't sure if he was actually going to kill Rey in that moment where he almost won the fight. But when she distracted him and then he sensed her, I think in that moment he also felt that his mom was passing away. And that's why he stopped and turned around when he heard her call to him. And that part, guys, that was one of the scenes that got me so sad, and I started to tear up because that's when she passes away, and I thought that was a good save because it's like, you know, how are they gonna do it with Princess Leia in the last film, and I think they did a good job of making it, you know, her final movie where this is where she passes away. Because imagine, like, guys, her character, she endured so much. If you think about it, the Princess Leia endured the death of her ex-husband or ex-boyfriend Han Solo. She endured that her son turned to the dark side, but she still had hope that there was still good in him, which she was right, by the way. And what else? She also endured the death of her brother. So she dealt with a lot, guys, and that's so much stress that she can handle. I mean, for an old woman. But that just shows how strong her character really was. And I think it was so sad until the end. Like, that was it. Like, she knew she was dying. I'm gonna use my last breath to help Rey in her fight against my son. At least if I try to contact him, I will at least try to get him to the good side, you know. But it was not only Princess Leia, because later on Rey, I think Rey did most of the work of helping him help Kylo Rey come to the light side, to the good side. Um, but yeah, I think it was very nice because, you know, after she passed away, um, I like the way it was shot too. It was so sad seeing R2D2, like he was right there when she passed away, and then everybody, uh, was it the rebellion or the resistance? They all gathered around her and they gave her, like, you know, a proper funeral. Well, kind of, but since, you know, they were still at war and everything, and they were in the forest, they just covered her up in a sheet, and then they were all around her paying their respects. And then I like how the alien was all like, "Farewell, our dear princess," and I'm just like, "Oh." That was a nice touch. That was well done. But what got me so sad, and I think it happened to us after Han Solo died, and we saw Chewbacca get so sad and depressed. You know, that hurt us. But when you see when Chewbacca and race friends, they come back to that planet, they're like, they try to tell them, like, hey, we need to tell you something, what happened. They're like, no, not now, we don't got time. We need to talk to the general, which is Princess Leia. But then they're like, she's gone, she's not with us anymore. And they turn around. I love their reaction. They were just like, oh my god. And then I loved how it zoomed in on Finn, and he looks at Chewbacca like, I'm so sorry, because they know Chewbacca was very close with Princess Leia. And then the moment you see when Chewbacca starts to cry and, you know, roar in pain, I started to cry because I was like, oh, Chewbacca, oh, I don't want to cry right now. But that was so sad. I thought that was a very sad scene, watching Chewbacca like just get so upset and roar in pain because he already lost Han Solo, his best friend, Luke Skywalker, and then oh my god, stay strong. It was so sad. You see how it makes me feel? It was so good. I thought that was a well done shot. And then Oh, and then so let's get to that part then. Um, so yeah, that's what happened. I thought they did a great job with Carrie Fisher's character. And then what else? 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 So yeah, I need to understand this. I need to, like I said, I need to watch the movie again because I was like, did they clone Palpatine? No, right? Because I remember they talked about clones, and then you see other clones of Supreme Leader Snoke. So I'm like, holy shit! So then is Snoke part of Palpatine? You know what I mean? Is that the connection? I didn't understand it that much, so I was like, "Ah, I need to watch that scene again. Maybe they didn't explain it. Maybe that was like another flaw they made, but yeah. But I took it like Palpatine managed to keep himself alive because if you see him, he was still like half burned. He was like a zombie basically, but he was still so powerful enough to keep himself alive. So I'm just like, damn. Um, I remember I said that they should have introduced him in The Last Jedi. But no, I take that back. I think it worked perfectly in this one too because he still had a lot of screen time. That's what I was worried about. That I don't think he was gonna have enough screen time, but he did. The evil emperor, and boy was he powerful. He was when he came back to life fully. I was just like, holy crap. Um, but yeah. Anyways, what else happened? I think it was so fun. The adventures they had. 3CPO. When he went along with them, I thought it was so cool seeing him join the adventure. Let's talk about the Knights of Ren. I think that was another kind of like almost a missed opportunity, but not really. At the same time, I feel okay about it. So when they introduced the Knights of Ren, I thought it was cool. I liked the way they look. They kind of reminded me of like Organization 13 from Kingdom Hearts, because there was that nice badass shot from far away when it was the camera was like panning around them from a far away angle, and they were on top of the mountain. I thought that was a nice shot, and like I said, the way they looked there, they reminded me of Organization 13 from Kingdom Hearts. But I think they looked badass, and so they were out there looking for Ray and everything. But when they come back, I thought I was all like, man, there was a missed opportunity, but not really. I was like, do we really need to know the Knights of Ren? Not really. I don't think so. I feel okay about it because it was. I think it was a badass moment when Kylo had to face his own team at the end, when he had to go save Rey. I think it was a smart moment when Kylo was on his way to save Rey, and then he had to face his own teammates, the Knights of Ren. So I was like, ooh. So I'm like, okay, let's see how this fight goes, and it was pretty cool. I really did enjoy that fight. The fights, by the way, let's talk about it. Wait. I'm getting too ahead of myself. Let's talk about 3CPO. I thought he was gonna die, guys, because when they said when they had to go into his memory to read that inscription that they saw on the dagger of the Sith Lord, the Sith language, but he couldn't pronounce it because he was programmed not to read such a forbidden language. But then they're like, well, we can get him to read it, and they're like, but there's a price. If we program to force to read such a thing that he's not supposed to, it's gonna wipe out his memory. So I'm like, that sucks. That's gonna be so sad. And when that moment came, when he's like, if we don't do this, at first he was like, no, is there another way we can do this? I don't want to forget everything that's happened in my life. But when he's like, you know what? If we don't do this, then everything that we did to get to here was all for nothing. So let's do it. But then he's like looking at his friends. They're like, what are you doing, 3CPO? He's like, I'm taking one last look at my friends. And I'm like, hmm. So when they wiped out his memory and they brought him back, yeah, he had no memory of everything. He started brand new. He's like, hello, my name is 3CPO. Who are you? And everything. I was like, oh man. Well, I guess that we'll see how he does in this one. And I thought it was so funny. He's all like, you all do this kind of stuff? You going through these adventures? Crazy. You guys are like insane, you know? I was just like, well, you went through a lot more worse than what they're going through. But I liked how it was a nice touch when R2D2, when he meets him again, he's like, hello, I am 3CPO. Who are you? He's like, I'm Dirt R2D2. He's all like, oh, you're my friend? Oh, I don't remember you being my best friend. I would have remembered. And R2D2's like, okay, I'm going to have to put the memories that I have of you into your mind. He's all like, oh, you can't do that. And he basically gets all his memory back thanks to R2D2. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So they saved that part. I was kind of iffy about it, but I'm glad they made a save with that one. Let's talk about another save that they did where I thought, oh my god, that's gonna piss off a lot of fans. And you guys are probably gonna know what I'm talking about. The part where I thought they actually killed Chewbacca. I thought when Rey was trying to save Chewbacca when they kidnapped him from that spaceship and they were taking off, but then she was using the Force to bring back the ship. I was like, girl, you powerful Jedi. But then Kylo Ren interferes and then he tries to bring the ship to him, and they both have that epic whose Force is stronger than whose again, like they did in the Last Jedi. She had no choice but to use her electricity that she inherited from her grandfather, and she blew up the ship. And I'm like, I even said it out loud. Are you serious? Like, is Chewbacca dead? I really thought he was dead, guys. I was like, oh, my mom started to cry. She was like, no, no, not Chewbacca. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, that's kind of sad, but at the same time, like, I'm upset. I'm a little upset, but I hope to God he's still alive somehow. I don't know. But then he's still alive. I'm glad that they mentioned, like, oh no, there was another ship. So I was like, oh, okay, good. He was in the other ship. And I also thought the Knights of Ren died on that ship. So I was like, well, that was a missed opportunity. But nah, that was a nice save. And I think that was like a good tease that J.J. Abrams did. Because he's like, you know what? Let's mess with the fans a little bit. The people who, because you know, they got upset when we killed off Han Solo. They got super upset when Luke Skywalker died. Why don't we tease them and make them think like, oh, we killed off Chewbacca? And I thought if they did that, I love that. I love it when they tease the fans, where you're like, you know what? That pissed them off. Let's push their buttons again. I like it. I really enjoyed it. When he was alive, I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, because I was like, nice save. Haha, you got me. You know, made me think he was dead. But good job. I like that part. I'm glad that was a good save. I'm glad Chewbacca was still alive. Because that would have been bad. That would have definitely been bad. What else? So let's talk about the fights they had. I was like, once again, Kylo Ren and Rey are gonna fight again. I just hope their fights are better this time. And they were. I thought the best fight that they both had was when they were astral projecting each other. Kylo Ren was asking Rey, "Where are you? I'm trying to find you, and you're kind of hard to find." She's like, "Well, you're kind of hard to lose. Like, you don't want to back off, dude, because I'm trying to like get rid of you." And then when they start fighting, astral projecting fight, I thought that was well done. That was like a badass fight because some of the stuff that, let's just say Kylo Ren was in the planet, Rey was on the spaceship. Some objects would come across like where Rey was at, and then objects would go to where I mean, sorry, some of the objects that Rey would drop when she was fighting against Kylo Ren would also appear over here with Kylo Ren on land. And then I remember when they splashed something, and then some marbles or balls would roll out. Some of it came out in Rey's area, so I thought that is so cool. And then the moment they destroyed that stand that was holding Darth Vader's helmet, I thought Kylo Ren was gonna get pissed, but he didn't. He was just like, "Oh well." And I thought that was like the badass fight. But I still enjoyed the other fight, the second fight they had on the Death Star, the destroyed Death Star in the middle of the ocean. That was really cool because their fight was like so badass. There was not that epic music. I wish they could have had a little epic music, but at the same time, I'm okay that they didn't because it was still pretty badass either way. And that's when Princess Leia interfered before she died to distract Kylo Ren. And when he got distracted and when Rey stabbed him, I thought, oh, so I guess that's it for Kylo Ren. Because she like killed him. She stabbed him and then that was it. But when Rey also sensed that Princess Leia had died, she felt sad. And when she looked at Kylo, I'm pretty sure she felt sorry for him because that's why he stopped himself from killing her. Or I don't know if he really was going to do it. I don't think he was because I think he loved her too much. Um, I think she felt sorry for him, and then she used her power to heal him, to heal his wound. By the way, I think that's one of the things a lot of people they said people were gonna get pissed off about, that now you could use the Force to heal wounds. I had no problem with it. And then you could also use the Force to bring people back to life. I had no problem with it either, because it's like This is the thing, guys. I'm not from that world. I don't know how the Force works. Okay? What makes you think you know how the Force works? You don't know what other abilities that you know. You know what I mean? If you really get pissed off at that, like, oh, what the hell? You can't bring back people from using the Force. I'm like, do you live there? Are you from that world? Because, like, I pretty much remember we're here in this reality, this sucky reality. As much as I would love to live in the Star Wars world, but we're here now. But you get what I mean? It's like, calm the fuck down, guys. Cause, excuse my language, but it's like, calm down. Like, I'm okay with it. Because I don't know that much about the Force. I don't go reading it in the books. I'm not studying everything because it's not real. That's the fantasy world, guys. That's what you have to understand. If people get really pissed off by that, that sucks for them. It's like I really don't know. I don't understand why. And if your reason is because that's not how the Force works, I already said my say. I had no problems with it. It's like, well, that's a new ability, and you know what? If you had no problems with Baby Yoda using that kind of ability in the show, because he does use that ability when he healed that character, his wound, and Baby Yoda used the Force to heal it. It's like if you had no problems with that, why would you have problems in the movie? It's you know what I mean? It's like I already knew that was a thing because I saw the show first, and then when Rey did it to that giant serpent, when she saw that the serpent had like a deep open cut wound and she used the Force, I was like, oh, she knows how to heal people too. So once again, it shows how powerful she really is. So I'm like, she has to be the daughter of somebody very powerful. Oh, we're gonna get to that part in a bit. So I had no problems with that. I really don't. That's just me. If you had problems with it, sorry. that sucks for you. Um, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Um, but we'll get to the other part where I felt like, but wait, if you're able to bring people back to life, I thought of something really funny at the very end, but we'll get to that later on. So now let's get to the part where we get to find out who Rey's parents are, and I think it already like was already building up to it. I think we already pretty much knew what was happening because one, there were already hints in the beginning of Force Awakens. You know what? By the way, I think when she touched what was it? When she touched something in the movie in the beginning, she saw memories. Oh, the dagger. When she touched the dagger that had the Sith language, does she have that ability to see memories of what happened in that object? Because that's what I pretty much got. And I was like, well, that pretty much explains when she touched the lightsaber uh, in The Force Awakens, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, and she saw all those memories. I'm like, maybe she has that ability with the Force where she could see what happened in the past. If she touches like a certain item, she can see like where this item has been through, like what it's seen or something. And I thought that was very interesting, and I thought that explains why she saw all those memories from that lightsaber. And I was like, okay, you explained that. Okay, fine. But they didn't go too much about it, so I was like, okay, well, that's how I understood it. So, anyways, back to the hints of how you can tell who her parents were. In The Last Jedi, when Luke Skywalker was training her, uh, she was she felt the darkness calling to her, and Luke Skywalker freaked out. He's all like, "You went straight to the dark. It offered you something that you wanted, and you didn't even try to resist it. Like you just went right for it. You went to the dark side." So that was another hint of like who her parents could be. And then the other hint in this new movie was when she used electricity. It's like, oh man, yeah, I think you pretty much explained it. When that moment happens, when Kylo Ren was trying so hard to help her remember, like, I knew who your parents were. I wasn't lying to you that they sold you for drunk money or anything, but there was a reason why they abandoned you, and it was to protect you. Your parents were doing their part to protect you because Palpatine wants you dead. I mean, I don't get that part. Why would he want her dead if he? That part didn't make sense to me. Yet he still wanted her alive. But when they finally reveal, when Kylo Ren finally reveals to her, like, you're the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, I was all like, ooh, I literally went, ooh. So yeah, that's it. We know who her parents are. It's Palpatine. I mean, pretty much explains it. Um, why she was so like she was able to go to the dark side, and because she gets it from her grandfather, Palpatine, but she grew up being a good person thanks to her parents too, or whatever. And I wish they could have gone more into detail about her parents, like okay, but why weren't they there with their father? Um, and who was the son? I think it was his son, right? I don't know. Or was her father the son of Palpatine or something? I don't know. Basically, Palpatine was her grandfather. But I wish they could have gone into more detail, like why did they run away? Was it? But I think this was like, well, think of it this way: if your father was the emperor, it was the empire, the one that was causing so much chaos in your galaxy and causing war and God knows what, would you really want to have close connection with your father like that? No, you would get the fuck out. Excuse me. You would, want to. You don't want to have anything to do with it because why? People are going to be out there looking for you and they're going to want to kill you. So I took it like that. So yeah, they did it to protect her, and now she knows the truth that Palpatine is her grandfather. She was shocked. She didn't want to believe it, but then she's like, I think she kind of did accept it like quickly because she's like, she always feared about who she was and why she had that ability to use electricity. She's like, I'm dangerous and all that good stuff. So I thought that was really cool. She is the daughter of, I mean, the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. So I was like, oh, very cool. So now we know who her parents are and why it was so hard for her to see who her parents were. So yeah. What else? There was so many cool graphic moments in it. There was like some cool scenery moments in that movie. Um, so she was on her way to go kill her grandfather. I would be too. And then it explains too about the teaser, like why would she go bad? And like I already knew, I was all like if you watch my reaction video to the trailer, I'm like, why is she gonna be evil? They have to give a good reason why she's gonna go bad, unless it was like a flashback or something. But it was kind of like a flashback when she goes back to the Death Star and she's in the Emperor room or whatever, and she goes to that other room. She basically went through what Luke Skywalker went through when he was in the forest and he went inside that cave. He faced what he feared to become. Luke Skywalker faced Darth Vader, but it was really himself. So Rey went through the same thing. She fought herself, and that's when you see evil Rey with the double lightsabers. By the way, I need to get that Funko Pop. That Funko Pop, I must have it because she looks badass. So she fought herself, and I thought that was a cool scene. Then that's when her battle with Kylo Ren starts again. And let's see. Now we're getting to this part. So after they had their fight and Rey ran off to the island where Luke Skywalker ran away to, I thought there was a very nice moment when Kylo Ren, after his mother died, and Rey saved him. I'm sure he was thinking about a lot of stuff now. He was reflecting about the death of his mother and how Rey ran away or whatever, and she has the ability to heal him. Um, when that surprising character Han Solo comes back, I was like, oh, that was a nice touch. I love that he got to communicate with his father again. And there was that scene that they said he kind of said the same lines he did in The Force Awakens. And I understand now what he meant. Like, I know what I have to do, but I don't think I have the strength to do it. And I think he meant like, yeah, he wanted to be good again, and it just didn't work out in The Force Awakens. He still became bad, and he ended up killing his father. And so, excuse me. But in this one, he says it again, and Han Solo helps him get rid of that lightsaber, meaning like, no, because when Kylo's all like, no, Ben's dead, he's like, no, Kylo Ren's dead. My son, Ben Skywalker, is still alive. I thought that was a very beautiful moment. And you know what also made it so cool, so special, was when Kylo Ren starts to cry I love the way Adam Driver did it, performed that moment when he says the word "dad." I know he wanted to say "I love you," but I love how Han Solo says "I know." I was like, "Oh, I know what you did there." That's like from The Empire Strikes Back, and I thought that was a cool moment. Like basically, yeah, he wanted to say "I love you," but Han Solo's like, "I know." You know, it's a man thing, or whatever. It's we don't say the L word, but we just know. Excuse me, guys. Hold on, I gotta charge this up. I thought that was a nice touch. So yeah, and that's when Ben Skywalker, Kylo Ren was no longer evil anymore. That was cool, and I think it had a lot to do when his mother passed, but also with Rey being the light to bring him back to the light side. So I thought that was very cool. After that, another cool part was when they brought Mark Hamill, they brought him back, but as a spirit. When Rey was like already like so frustrated with everything, knowing the truth, and then when Leia passed away, and she was gonna throw the lightsaber into the fire, I was like, "Oh, don't do that, girl. That's gonna like be upsetting." But when Luke Skywalker captures it, and he's all, this was like a little thing where I thought it was kind of funny. When he catches it and he comes out of the fire as a spirit, he's all like, a lightsaber should be treated more with respect or something like that. And I thought, huh, are you trying to save that because of what you did in The Last Jedi? When he got back his lightsaber and he just threw it away. I thought like, okay, are they trying to make up for what they did in The Last Jedi? But he even when they start talking more, she's like, no, I'm gonna do what you did. I'm gonna come to this island and just hide for the rest of my life. She's like, don't do that. Don't make the same mistakes as I did. She's like, but that's what you did. He's like, well, I was wrong. And I'm sure he was wrong because, Luke Skywalker was in his dark moments in The Last Jedi. And I'm sure after, a while, talking to Yoda in the last film, the Last Jedi, he had a lot to reflect on himself, and that's why he used the astral projection to go help his sister Leia and Rey and his friend and her friends distract Kylo Ren so they can escape. And he sacrificed himself. He did it to save the resistance. And I'm pretty sure in that moment, he had time to reflect at everything, And he even explains it in this one, like the reason why I came here was because I let fear control me. Don't let it do the same thing to you or what you're afraid of thinking. Because that's the point of being a Jedi. Us Jedis, we have to face our fears. It's our destiny. It's like the same with everybody. We have to confront our fears. Otherwise, we're gonna end up what Luke did. Like, but he knows that he was wrong. So I did like that. I did enjoy that. That was like a good save for that. And so, and I thought it was a nice touch when, he talked some sense into Rey, and she was like, "Fine, I'm gonna go confront my grandfather and fight him." Um, when she was already getting ready, um, Luke Skywalker uses the Force to bring the X-wing back from the water that he crashed a long time ago. He used the X-wing to bring the X-wing out of the water, just like Yoda did, and I thought that was a nice Easter egg in this movie. That now Luke Skywalker is doing what his old master Yoda taught him to do. So I was like, that's a nice touch, and I love the soundtrack. By the way, the soundtrack was very good in that final film. So that was a nice Easter egg touch. And there goes Rey to go confront her grandfather. And what else? What else happens? I'm trying to remember so much what happened. Let me see. I'm trying to look at the trailer right now to see, like, was there anything else that I'm missing? I don't think so. Oh, it was so good to see Lando come back. I thought he did a great job as well. Rose, she did wonderful. Everybody did wonderful, especially the new characters they brought in. It's okay that for me, I felt like it was okay that they didn't have enough screen time. They were just characters who played their parts to help out in the story, and that's it. There was no need to get to know them even more. I think they were just there to do their part. Let's see. Oh yeah, and there was another a clue to where you start to know who Rey's parents are was when she mentions like I had flashbacks about seeing a throne and it was like the Sith Lord throne and then I saw someone sitting on it and then I believe it was Finn that said you saw Kylo Ren sitting on it. She's like, no, I saw myself. I was like, oh, another clue. So you see, I was already building up to it. But I thought it was so crazy. Oh, you see, thank God I didn't pay attention to that. I think it was so crazy when you see all those Death Stars rise from like the ground. It's like holy crap, they've been in the works for this for a very long time. And I'm glad that they gave it the title of the Final Order, right? That's what it was called. Because I know they had it was the First Order, but he's like, well, that was just the beginning. Now we have the real army, which is the Final Order, and it was like huge spaceship, all these star destroyers. Where I'm just like, oh, now they have the ability to destroy planets. It's like, holy crap, that's really bad. So yeah, I remember I was feeling so tense in that way because I was just like, oh my god, there were so many tense moments. Let's see. What else? What other was good? Um, let me see. Let me see. I'm trying to think what else. Well, let's get to the part where Rey finds has her final battle against the Emperor. I thought it was so cool. And then when Kylo Ren was on his way to go save her, that whole final battle, by the way, I thought it was pretty epic. I thought it was pretty cool. It wasn't too extreme to where it's like, oh, that's too much, but I thought it was just about right. And I remember I liked the scene where Poe, oh yeah, Poe was like talking to Princess Leia on her, where she was lying on the bed where she died. He was trying to talk to her like, I don't know what to do. Like now I'm in charge. I'm the general now, but I don't know what to do. And then Lando comes and he's all like, "You think we knew what to do? Shoot, me, Leia, Han, we didn't know what to do either, but we just went for it. We fought for what we loved for and everything, basically." And Paul's all like, "But how did you do it, guys? Like, how did you do it? Because you had a very little army." And he's all like, "Well, it's because we had each other to help to help each other out." And I'm like, "It's true. It's true. That's how they won the final battle. They all had each other." So let's talk about where the Emperor comes back. I thought it was so cool. It was really creepy too. Um, then when Rey and Kylo, what I would have preferred, by the way, in the final battle was that when this Emperor Palpatine fully came back to life, um, I would have preferred like a badass final lightsaber battle where he summons his two lightsabers or something and he fights against Kylo Ren and Rey. But that didn't happen. But you know what? I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, I still liked what they did instead in the movie. I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. It was an epic final battle. There were moments where I thought Rey or Kylo Ren was gonna die, so it was pretty good. I thought there was gonna be a lot of people that were gonna die. But let's talk about this moment when Rey finally defeats her grandfather Palpatine, and before we get to that, and that's just like Emperor Palpatine. He was always the selfish one because he's all like, and that's why he pretty much says, "Strike me down." That's why he said it to Luke Skywalker and everybody else because he wanted that to happen. Because he even explains, because if you strike me down, my spirit will transfer to your body, and then as always, that's how the Sith Lord continues to live. That's how it continues to live on and then it would use your body as a new Sith Lord, as a new vessel or something. So I'm just like, that sucks. So how are they gonna kill him? But they do. They end up killing him. Um, Somehow, Rey was able to do it, and it was phenomenal. Um, Oh yeah, so let's talk about that. When we think things were looking really bad, but when Rey's all like, be with me," closing her eyes and repeating that over and over. When she starts hearing all the voices of the people who passed away, especially the Jedi, when you hear Luke Skywalker talking, then Yoda, then Anakin Skywalker, I thought, oh my god! I was like geeking. I was like, oh! And then you hear Mace Windu. When you hear all the Jedi's from the old movies speak to her, actually, I would have preferred if we saw them, their spirits talking to her, but we just only heard their voices. But at the same time, I'm okay with it still because I accepted it. I would have preferred if they came out instead. It would have been a lot better, but I'm still okay with what they did. But I was all like, oh, that made me so felt so cool. Like it was a wonderful feeling hearing their voices again. And then that's when she got her strength back, and then she fought against her grandfather, and she beat him. Um, but when she beat him, and you see her collapse to the floor, and just like was dying, and then she just dies. I thought, is she really dead? I was shocked. I was like, oh, she died. She basically died. She sacrificed herself to save her loved ones because they were all kind of losing everything. But no, she used every bit of her life she had left to save her friends, her family. Because yeah, I thought it was such a dick move that Chancellor Palpatine's all like, oh what? You think this is your family? If in reality you're all alone. I'm the only family you have. So I'm just like, that sucks. But she knew that this was all her friends out there, Luke Skywalker, Leia, those were her family. Those are the people who mattered a lot. And I kind of like that because it's like, you know, let's just say you do come from like a terrible family. But then you have friends and you have other loved ones who, gave you positive influences who helped you, you know, through some tough times. You can consider them as your family. You can. Because, some parents out there are just not good parents. Some are just they're terrible. And I think, they don't have to be your parents because if you find other people out there who could treat you way better, love you for who you are, those are your real family. Your real family are the ones who make you feel better and make you feel proud of who you are and everything. So she understood that. And when she died, I was like, oh no, she did like a heroic thing. She sacrificed herself. I got sad. That was like one of those moments where I started to tear up because I was like, she was such a badass character, and it's such a sad story to see her die like that because, you know, and I think it was kind of accepting because I was like, well, I guess she had to die because like her grandfather said, if you strike me down, my spirit will go to you. But I guess it didn't work that way. So I thought, damn, when Kylo Ren comes back to save her, well, not save her, but when he picks her up in her arms and everything, I felt so sad because then he starts to cry because that was like the girl he was having a crush on, you know? And I thought, that's sad. I wanted them to be a thing. But then when you see him using the Force to bring her back, I love the way it was worked. He did like a Matrix kind of thing. When Neo brought, what's her name, Trinity back to life, he basically did the same thing. But when I loved how she put her hand, the camera was just focusing his hand on her stomach, hoping that he would bring her back to life. But then when you see her hand go on top of his, I was like, oh, I thought they were gonna do a little Disney moment where, oh, true love's kiss can save everything. But I kind of got that feeling like, oh, she's back and everything. And then when they had that strong look at each other, like that connection, I was just like, do it. Do it. That's what we want. Kiss each other. And they finally kiss each other. I was all like, yay, like, oh, that was a beautiful moment. But then it fucked it up. Kylo Ren dies. I was like, what? No, I want you two to have babies. If you think about it, well, let's continue with this. So yeah, I guess in that moment when you see like Kylo Ren was holding Rey when she was dead in his arms and he was crying, and he was like thinking, I mean, you think that he was probably like, I could bring her back to life, but I'm pretty sure in that moment he thought, She used her power to save my life when she could have killed me, but she didn't. She saved me. I'm gonna save her life. So I'm gonna use the power of the Force to bring her back to life. Use every strength that I can to do that, because I guess that's the price when you bring people back to life. It has a price, and I'm pretty and I accept that because it's to give life you have to give some I don't know. You see where I'm getting at? If you're going to give someone else life, you need to give someone else's life to bring that person back to life. You know what? I know I'm saying it all wrong, but that's the rules of the Force of how it works, and that makes sense because there's a consequence. So I guess he gave his life to bring her back to life, and he dies. And when he disappears, so does Princess Leia's body, and they disappear like how Yoda did and Obi-Wan Kenobi did when they died. I was like, so they do disappear. And I thought that part was so sad for me because, well, not sad. I was just like, oh, no, disappointed because I really wanted Kylo Ren and Rey to be a thing. Well, Ben Skywalker and Rey to be a thing. I wanted them to be a thing, and imagine they should have been, because imagine if they had a child. If you think about it, it would have been so cool to have the Skywalker, a family member from the Skywalker family, a family member from the Sith Lord, from the dark side, come together, and when they make, and they, when their love comes together and they create something, that baby would have been the balance of both light and darkness. If you think about it, wouldn't that have been a perfect idea? I think it would have been a much better idea if that would have worked, but it didn't. And I think, in a way, Kylo Ren really redeemed himself a lot in this one. Not only when he became good, and when he went to go help Rey in the fight against her grandfather, but also when he gave his life up to save Rey. I thought that was very sad. Um, but yeah, I think it would have been better that way. And I think that's it. That was the end of the Sith Lord. But now I'm curious, like, well, if that's the end of the Sith Lord and the darkness, how are they gonna do it with the other future Star Wars films? You know what I mean? I wonder how that's gonna work. But we have to wait and see till 2022, I believe. So yeah, I really did enjoy those moments. Um, what else? And I think it was really good that Kylo Ren did that because it also reminded me, like, you know what? Darth Vader sacrificed himself to save his son, if you think about it. When he threw the Emperor down into the little hole, I mean, the big hole, and he got hurt. He killed, he was dying as well. But he did it to save his son, and I thought that it's like when Darth Vader redeemed himself in that moment, so did Kylo Ren in that part. So I thought that's really nice. That was like a good reflection of like he kind of did what his grandfather did, and that was pretty much yeah. Because I remember the Emperor told him like, you will never do. You really want to continue where your grandfather left off, like meaning like bad stuff. But basically, he did what his grandfather did, which was a very good thing. He saved someone he loved very much and sacrificed himself. So that was a nice touch. I really like that. You see, that's why I like this story so much because like it kind of still fits with like what happened in the past, and it's very fitting. I don't know. To me, it just works well. It worked very well. And then when they start celebrating at the very end, it was so comforting. Everybody was all happy and everything. It was such a nice, happy ending. I cried a lot when Rey was looking for her friends when they were back at home, and her friends were looking for her. I loved how when the three of them hugged each other, it reminded me of my three best friends. But it also reminded me like seeing that this was their final film together. So I'm pretty sure they had a lot of fun memories working together, playing around. They built a strong relationship with each other. Where I'm sure they really captured that moment, realizing like, yeah, this was their final moment together. It was their final movie. Maybe they'll keep in contact in the future, in other films or something. But it was a very nice touch. It was very beautiful. It was a very beautiful moment. But then it was so cool in the very end when Rey goes to Tatooine, where Luke Skywalker's home was. She goes to see, and I love how she gives Luke Skywalker and Leia's lightsaber a proper burial, where they all came from. Not really, but since Leia's home was destroyed, better place to bury the lightsabers would be Tatooine, where Luke Skywalker was born and raised. So she buried them there in the sand, and I thought that was a very nice touch because now she has a new lightsaber, and I was like, and it had a cool color. It was gold. I was like, that's a nice color, Enough with the blue and red lightsabers and green. Let's bring a new color into this. And I really like that color, the gold lightsaber. And when this random old lady sees Rey, she's like, "It's been years since I've seen anybody here. Who the heck are you?" And she's like, "Me? I'm Rey." And she's like, "Rey what?" And then she's like, she wanted to say Palpatine, but she like kind of like hesitated. But when she looks up to the horizon, I love what they did there. You see the spirit of Leia and Luke Skywalker there watching her. And Leia's wearing her famous white outfit that she wore in the old films in the very first Star Wars movie when she first appeared. And you see Luke Skywalker alongside with his sister, just looking at Rey, smiling at her. I love that moment when she's all like, "I'm Rey Skywalker." I was all like, that's the reason why they gave this movie the title, The Rise of Skywalker. Because there it is. She inherited the name of Skywalker because she's like, you know what? Like I said, this is my family. This is who I grew up with. This is the people who changed my life for the good, and they guided me, through these steps of becoming who I am today now. I consider them a family. I'm going to take the name. And I love that because I was like, well, if Kylo Ren was the last member of the family, who's going to continue? But no, that was also saved with Rey. And I was like, you know what, Rey? You deserve that name because you are considered a Skywalker now. So I really love that touch. It was a very nice touch for that. It was very beautiful. I cried a lot. It was just well done. And that was the end of it. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, guys. Those are my reasons why I enjoyed it a lot. It might have felt rushed. There were some missed opportunities, but for me, it wasn't that big of an issue. It didn't bother me a lot where I was just like, it didn't make me enjoy the film. I overall enjoyed it so much. I loved it a lot. The Emperor had his moments. We got our questions. We had our answers. Our questions answered. It fit perfectly. They did what, like I said, they did what they had to do. They worked with what they've got, especially with Princess Carrie Fisher's final scenes. They made it work. There was a lot of pressure for the director and everybody in this film, but they made it work. They played it safely. There was some very nice moments of fan service, and people who are not, familiar with the films, I thought they're still, for me, I think they were still going to enjoy the film. And like I said, this movie made me appreciate The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens a lot more, especially the old movies a lot more. Because that's the thing I thought, if this is supposed to be the Skywalker saga, how is that going to work? Rey's not considered a family member, but now she is. But it still worked because it still connects with all the films because of Palpatine. Palpatine has always been the villain in all 9 films, and it ended him. It ended with him in the last film, and it was so cool knowing that it ended with his own granddaughter killing him. Oh yeah, so let me get to this moment. I was like, okay, so if they're able to use the Force to bring each other back to life, I was like, okay, so Rey died, sacrificed herself. Kylo Ren brings her back. She's all happy, and I love that they shared a kiss. And but then Kylo Ren dies, so I was like, oh. So imagine Rey. Okay, I'm gonna bring him back to life. He's back to life. She dies. Okay, Kylo Ren brings her back. So they're gonna go back and forth, back and forth. You know what I mean? It's like, oh well, shit. So imagine if that's how they're gonna live their life. They're like, okay, if we're gonna be a thing, we'll do this from time to time. We'll bring each other back to life. You know, you I'll bring you back to life if you need to take out the trash. You bring me back to life when I need to wash the dishes. I'll bring you back to life when you gotta take your son to school. You know what I mean? That would have been so dumb. I thought that was kind of funny, but no, I'm glad they didn't work like that. So yeah, I really love this movie a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Job well done. They did the best possible, so yeah. So those were my highlights. That's my spoiler review for this movie. I really enjoyed it. And I want to thank you all, before I forget, thank you all for watching. If you really watched this whole thing, if you heard everything that I said about this movie, why I enjoyed it and everything, thank you so much. You guys are the best. I think I consider you guys true fans because it's like, I mean, I deeply appreciate it. So, so thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. And so yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. By the way, were your favorite moments? If you enjoyed the movie, were your favorite moments also the same as mine? Did you also knew that Rey was the daughter? I mean, the granddaughter of Palpatine. And did you like how what they did with Carrie Fisher's the final scenes? Did you think they worked well? And you know, did you like the final battle? I did. It was very good. Job well done. I'm so glad I got to meet the actor, by the way, who played the Emperor. I got a picture with him. Um, and it was so funny because I asked him, I remember when I went up to him and I told him, I asked him, do you think it's possible that you might make a return in the future Star Wars films, in the newest Star Wars films? He's like, well, with his accent, I cannot say, but there's a possibility. There are possibilities that, he could return. I'm just like, oh, I hope so. I was geeking out. I was like, I hope so because you are my favorite out of all the out of all the Star Wars villains. He's like, oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I was like, yeah, you're welcome. And I'm like, all right, bye bye. And I took a picture with him and everything. If I ever see him again, I was all like, I knew it. It was like, oh, did you? I want to ask him like, did you know you were gonna come back? He's like, I want to know his answer. But yeah, job well done. I am gonna buy it on Blu-ray, definitely. But yeah, thank you all so much once again. We're gonna end it here because that's enough. It's a long review. So we'll see you all next time. And if we don't, have a Merry Christmas, guys, and a Happy New Year, just in case. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.